Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today we're jumping right into Road to Ranked. In the last episode, we used a really fun team featuring Groudon and Maractus, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with you today. If you haven't seen the last episode, would highly recommend it. We had some really wild games, and I think it just highlights how good Maractus and Groudon and Arcanine can be in this format. So check it out, linked in the description below. And yeah, thanks so much as always for watching. If you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. First game of the day, and we've got Porygon Zacian. Okay, so obviously we learned yesterday Maractus very good into Zacian. Now, the main thing that makes me a little bit nervous here is that Zapdos. That is going to be a wild card for us to deal with here, I think. However, I think I'm content to lead Groudon plus Maractus, NDD in the back. The main thing here is I think Stack Attack actually is a worthy bring, but like, do I really not bring Arcanine? I guess I could also drop NDD because its damage output here is bad, but like Follow Me was just so good for us yesterday. I'm just nervous that if I don't bring Stack Attack, my Porygon matchup suddenly becomes a little bit more subpar. But these four were so good for us yesterday into Zacian team, so I'm still going to try it out. I think there's a very good chance that we end up playing out this game and being like, okay, wait, Stack Attack actually was the correct Pokemon to bring, but I don't know. Arcanine is obviously so good into Zacian with that Intimidate. I want Groudon and Maractus in this matchup, and then NDD for terrain control and redirection is all just really good. So I feel like the best argument I can make is probably dropping NDD for Stack Attacka, but it's kind of tough to actually like enable Stack Attacka in this matchup. So yeah. Question of the day, by the way, the Pokemon 25th Invitational stream. Actually, Friday today, there was a pre-show, and then tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday is the actual tournament, and I'm one of the commentators for the event. So yeah, hopefully you can tune in, and I want to know if you'll be tuning in and kind of just, yeah, what you're kind of aiming to root for, what kind of teams, which players. Let me know in the comment section below. It's Incineroar plus Urshifu. Okay. We have a lot of interesting options here. The main one I'm thinking of is to just Precipice. What's their switch in? It's Zapdos. I want to Precipice Blades here and then switch Maractus out into NDD. This blocks a Fake Out, so if they get baited into clicking Fake Out, we eliminate Incineroar immediately. Well, that's the biggest threat to my NDD, or my Maractus out of the way. Like, that's the one downside of a Maractus is, Instinct can just Flare Blitz for a one-shot. We don't do much damage to it in return. Okay, sweet. They just close combat. That's actually the best case scenario. You just eat up a defense drop from that as well. So hopefully we don't miss Precipice Blades here. That was the downfall for us in Game 4 yesterday. Yeah, this is like why I don't love using Groudon. It's just so inconsistent in hitting these Precipice Blades. And actually Incineroar survives that, so pretty defensive. They do just offer Flare Blitz though, so they'll faint from Flare Blitz, but frustrating to not hit that one on Urshifu because that, you know, it does. The most important thing is actually breaking Sash because then that sets up Maractus for success. Now the problem is if they have the Zapdos right now, you can just close combat Heat Wave. So yeah. But the thing is, this is exactly what I was saying when we were covering the team yesterday. Oh, interesting. Okay, they didn't bring Zapdos. That's actually really important. And I'm happy about that. What I want to do here, I think, if you're my opponent, I want to conserve the Sash on this NDD. I could double switch here, honestly. You're probably going to close combat again. You could glide close combat. I want to double switch here. I'm just trying to figure out in what order I go in. If I were my opponent, you could glide Groudon close combat NDD. Glide Groudon. I want the Rocky Helmet because that breaks the Sash. Even if they close combat Maractus, it's not the end of the world. We get an Intimidate onto it, so they shouldn't one-shot us. So I'm going to switch up this way. Yeah, it's just if we had hit that, then the Urshifu's probably in KO range from even a Flamethrower from Arcanine. But once again, Precipice Blade's 85%, and for it to hit both, obviously, you need to hit two 85% accurate attacks, right? So, slimmer than that. The accuracy of that is not amazing, so unfortunately, that is the downside of Groudon. It's one reason why I'm not the biggest fan of it in Series 10. It's just not as consistent, but it's still obviously very strong. This is perfect, though. They close combat into the Arcanine slot is exactly what I was hoping for. So, you're going to eat up the Rocky Helmet. The most important thing I was looking for was to just break that Focus Sash, potential Focus Sash. And they would hammer. Okay, perfect. Oh, that's so good for us. Okay, brilliant. Like, the main thing is I feel like this team has an amazing matchup into Zacian teams, so I just keep reminding myself to try to not tilt after a potentially bad early game, right? We're actually in really good shape right now. because the Maractus can just one-shot multiple Pokemon. So it's a free Grass Knot into the Zacian slot, or sorry, Urshifu slot. And I don't want to risk missing here, so I'm willing to just Flamethrower into Rillaboom, because both of these Pokemon are intimidated right now, so... Yeah, it's like, even if you protect one and switch Zacian into a slot... Well, we saw how much Zacian took from Grass Knot yesterday, right? And it's like, now I can just Weather Ball Zacian. So, you know, I could have gone for a Weather Ball outright there, but the thing is, I want to lull them into kind of like a false sense of security right now. Yeah, I mean, I guess they could U-turn out there. Also, Grass Knot does so much with the terrain and Life Orbs. Really impressive. I also just want Flamethrower damage on a Rillaboom because it's not like I have amazing damage output into this thing. So it survives with the Sliver. It's a little unfortunate. They are going to be able to U-turn out. But even if you're... the one thing I'm worried about right now is Choice Scarf for Urshifu. But I think we're safe to just... that was a good turn. I feel like, I mean, I had the opportunity to just outright secure the game there, and I didn't. And I felt like it was fine playing safe, but my opponent's play was so telegraphed there that I'm wondering if I should have just read into it. But, like, it's really safe to just Grass Knot the... It's just I have Weather Ball, right? My opponent's probably not expecting it, which is why I want to go for it, but they could obviously protect Zacian and then close combat. So I feel okay, I think, just going for Grass Knot here onto Urshifu and Flamethrower onto Zacian. I guess the worst case is what? Urshifu protect, Behemoth Blade onto Maractus, and then you survive a Flamethrower. That's probably the worst case. Yeah, I mean, if we lose this one, it's on me for not taking a prediction when I could have. I just felt like we could play super safe and still win the game. Okay, yeah, they switch Urshifu out. I mean, that's fine. We'll get the knockout onto Rillaboom. But Weather Ball there also would have won it for us, but it's like, I could actually I still feel like this is fine. We'll see who Zacian targets here, first of all. Ah, they actually just go for Substitute. Okay, I'm totally okay with that. They just gave up a Pokemon for very little, basically. And I'm hoping now they're thinking like, oh, well, actually, they might be worried about getting KO'd by Grass Knot. But yeah, if I went Weather Ball there and Flamethrower into the Urshifu slot, obviously we could have won. But once again, like, I don't want to take unnecessary predictions right now in this point in the battle. Okay, so everyone heals back a little bit. The main thing is I'm just wondering what item this Urshifu is. They're not protecting at all. Which makes me really think, especially with the close combat turn one, it could be even Scarfed. Last turn of Sunlight here. I think I am willing to just Grass Knot. Okay, wait, let's think these through. We have a 4-2 lead, so might as well take all the time we need here. We also have Inity, so then I can just end the game with the Follow Me Precipice Blades if I get damage onto this thing. So I think here I'm actually pretty content to just click Grass Knot into the Urshifu slot. That'll one-shot it. And then Flamethrower into the Zacian slot. Yep. I don't think they have Protect. I mean, maybe it's a double Protect here, actually. That's totally fine, because now I just withdraw Arcanine out into Groudon and reset the Sun. Yeah. Now the main thing is we lose, not even necessarily like lose, but the double Protect is the main thing, right? Because I can freely target either slot right now for a KO. Okay, so Urshifu did have Protect. Yeah, I was just interested to see Surging Strikes turn one. Oh, does that bring you back to Sash? It does. Okay, that makes sense. However, I don't think they're going to see the Weather Ball coming right now. And we have Focus Sash on Inity, so we can just Weather Ball into Zacian, switch Arcanine out into Groudon. Even if they... What's the worst case here? Zacian gets the double Protect off, and then Urshifu knocks out Maractus. That's the worst case, but even in that scenario, then we get Groudon out safely and Inity next to it, to which then I can just go for Follow Me plus Earthquake or Precipice Blades. So I think that's fine. Perfect. They don't go for the double. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, Weather Ball is such a good tech. I just want to make sure I don't reveal it until I need to, and here I get the guaranteed knockout. So now it's a 4v1. Going to be pretty difficult for Arcanine to finish, or sorry, for Urshifu to win in this position. And once again, Maractus really the MVP into these Zacian matchups. So close combat into Groudon. Perfect. The main thing here was making sure Maractus didn't faint early on. I think we're actually very lucky they didn't bring the Zapdos, and, you know, for good reason. I think, like, Zapdos isn't necessarily amazing into Groudon, obviously struggles into, like, Porygon and Stakataka, so makes sense why my opponent didn't bring it. That was my primary fear going into this battle. Either way, we can just bring out the Arcanine now, and, yeah. As I reiterate with this team, you are going to miss Precipice Blades many times. It is not an accurate attack, right? Like, even anything under 90% in VGC makes me nervous, and even 90 makes me nervous, right? And like, think about the times you've missed a 95% attack, like Air Slash, right? Like, it happens. It really does. Anyway, we can just Grass Knot Flamethrower here. And in this endgame, we could have played it any number of ways. Like, yeah, I could bring Indy out and follow me Grass Knot, but it doesn't really matter, right? Because Grass Knot will bring Urshifu down very low, and then with Sash on Indy and the Sun up, Surging Strike just KOs Urshifu. So, yeah. Really solid first game. I think this team has an amazing matchup into Zacian. I think Zacian just really struggles into Groudon comps. And I think the best Groudon comps just counter Zacian hard, right? It's like you already have Groudon to counter Zacian itself, but then the supporting cast will be really good as well. And honestly, Maractus is the star into the Zacian matchups. Like, that damage calc from yesterday, I'm still amazed by. The fact that you can one-shot a Zacian with Weather Ball and that it is a roll in your favor, even if they're max HP, is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. So, yeah. Hoping we get to play some new restricted Pokemon. Would love to play up against something like Calyrex or Xerneas, because we haven't gone against either of those with this team. But I'd say we actually have some really interesting techs, right? The Maractus obviously has the, Throat Chop for the Calyrex, and then Xerneas, obviously, we have Stakataka. So let's look for our next one, see what we get here. Next match of the day here, and it's another Zacian team. We've had very favorable matchups for the most part, so I'm very happy about that. But like I would say, I'd rather play against a different group of restricted Pokemon, just to understand how the matchup works there. But I think I'm just going to go with the same combo. Like, the White Herb is just so good into the Incineroar lead. So, Groudon, Maractus, Indy plus Arcanine. Now, the one thing we have to consider here is that my opponent does have Regieleki. I do think it's highly unlikely they bring it. If I'm in my opponent's shoes, I'm going Incin, Urshifu, Rillaboom, Zacian. Maybe Landorus-I. Landorus-I could actually be really solid here because it could one-shot the Stakataka with Earth Power as well as Arcanine. But Regieleki into a Groudon team, like, I feel like very few people would actually do that. And that's good for us, right? Because the Maractus, unfortunately, is actually still slower than max speed Regieleki. And that means one play you can make is go Eleki, Zacian, and an Electro Web into Behemoth Blade. But I feel like it's so unlikely to see that combo. And even if they do, we have Groudon, right? That's part of the reason why I don't really expect to see the Regieleki come out here. But Landorus-I is, I mean, this is like the standard Zacian comp, right? Maybe sometimes you'll see Tapu Fini. But yeah, these Pokemon are as standards that it gets for a team comp like this, but once again, like, it works because they are really just the best Pokemon in the format, right? So they obviously naturally are strong and synergize well because Zacian really appreciates fake out pressure from its partners. And so, yeah, Landorus is going to be the new mix-up here, right? Like, we haven't gone up against those in the Zacian matchups thus far, but once again, if we can just get that one-shot onto Zacian with Maractus, beautiful. So it's going to be Incin plus Urshifu, just like that last game. I think I'm just going to make the same play here, which is, once again, switch out and Precipice Blades. I think the beauty of this combo is that I have so many options on turn 1, right? I could theoretically just stay in with Maractus, but the thing is, I never want to lose Maractus on turn 1. And you saw how my opponent went for Flare Blitz, right, in that previous game. It's way too important to conserve Maractus in this matchup. If we lost Maractus on turn 1 of that last game, we honestly probably lose the game. Because this is our best answer into the Zacian. So, I'm willing to just go for Precipice Blades here, and let me just double check. Yeah, it is Water Urshifu. I just want to confirm that. I know you can tell by its stance, but as I always say, I just triple check everything, because I've made mistakes before. So, yeah, I'm just going to go for the Precipice Blades and the NDD switch in. If you're my opponent, one play you could make is switching Rillaboom in, which would actually be a really, really strong play right now. Because then you will have terrain control because my Maractus will switch out first. But the thing is, I could have done it the other way, right? Which is switch Indy for the Groudon swap. I don't really want to do that. Like, even if you switch Rillaboom in, I still do a decent amount of damage. And, like, we're still not in terrible shape because I can just pivot Arcanine in. The main thing here is conserving Maractus. Perfect. They protect Urshifu, that's fine. Either way, I'm getting a Precipice Blades off for free here, and if they're not bulky enough, has a good chance to just one-shot. Okay, this one connects. Good. They're not Shook-a-Berry, also good. Beautiful. That is the best possible way to start this game. That was actually a critical hit, so that may have mattered. I do think Presses Blades into Incineroar is basically very dependent on how much defensive bulk it has. So normally I'd expect it to survive there. So obviously that's a, to guarantee a KO like that puts us in an amazing position already. So definitely a lucky turn. We take those. And now we should be in a very commanding position. This is, once again, why I love the White Herb specifically on Groudon. If we don't have White Herb, I have to play the Groudon completely differently. I guess I could still lead it, but then I just know that I'm doing so much less damage into Incineroar specifically. So now I like the idea of pivoting out into the Arcanine. Actually, I think we could get away with the double switch here, right? If I'm my opponent, what am I going to do here? Maybe double up on a Groudon? So I want to switch Arcanine in for that slot, and then switch Indeedee into Maractus. I feel like this is relatively foolproof. The only reason why I'm a little bit hesitant in making these switches is because I'm switching in Maractus, and that feels like the MVP in this matchup. But even it's like, what's the worst case? It'd be close combat plus U-turn into the Indeedee slot. Actually, I feel like that's a somewhat likely play, to be honest. I think it actually might have been appropriate to actually just swap the... Yeah, I think that's what's coming our way. I think it would have been better to stay in with Groudon and just click Heat Crash into Rillaboom and then swap Arcanine in. Well done, well done. They went for it. They went for it, and they called me out on that. Nicely maneuvered. Yeah. I don't think there's anything that really counters... I mean... Yeah, they had to call that turn correctly, but that was the risk of switching in, because I just gave up Maractus, and that would have just probably hard won us the game if I conserved it properly. So, yeah, I think that was overly aggressive on my end and not a good play. My opponent played perfectly there. So, that's why, like, Pokemon is about considering every single possibility, right? I'd love to say I play every game perfectly, but that's just not the case. This is a hard game. Okay. Got Arcanine out. Have Groudon. I've got Indeedee in the back. Yeah, I think switching an Arcanine into the slot and then Heat Crashing was always better. Unless Surging Strikes and Glide still KOs with the Intimidate on Rillaboom, it might. But that was just beautifully done on their end, so kudos. Okay, I think I'm just going to go Flamethrower Zacian here. Pivot out into Indeedee. I mean, maybe they double up onto Arcanine now. If I'm my opponent, I'm doubling up onto Groudon here. Well, let's see. Yeah, I'd even said going into this game that Maractus was the main win con, but then I thought I had an opportunity to switch it in safely, and then, yeah, we just ran into the worst case. Okay, they're going to Sacred Sword. So they're probably doubling up on Arcanine. They like hard read me really well these past two turns. I don't know if this KOs with the sun being up. It's really close. Oh man, I think it comes down to whether or not it KOs. Oh, it does exactly enough. I think that will probably win them the game. Back to back, like lights out reads. I think in this game was lost by me making very unnecessary switches, right? Like, that's what it feels like to me. Yeah, I just didn't need to go for any of these switches. And it's going to cost me. This is still winnable, though. So let's not give up. If you're my opponent now, I would switch Urshifu out into Rillaboom. And maybe protect Zacian. Okay, I'm gonna make hard reads here because I'm already so far behind in this game. The other play was to just go for Follow Me, Precipice Blades, but I think that's the obvious play that my opponent has to cover for right now. But this is kind of an inexcusable game to lose, and it's okay. Like, I can clearly point out my mistake. But, yeah, that's the thing with Pokemon, right? It is so important. One turn is all it takes for the momentum to completely swing. So they're gonna make the Urshifu switch. Okay, that's what I was hoping to see. Like, if they protect the Zacian here, this is still very winnable because of the double up. So let's see. Because then my play is to just follow me into Precipice Blades. Show me protect. Oh, they just Behemoth Blade. Well done. That should win them the game. Into Groudon. Yeah, that's the right play to go for, because it covers for every permutation of plays I can make, I think. Although it's still winnable. Wow, that actually one-shot. Maybe I needed to follow me there, then. If I went just Precipice Blades there, would I have won? Precipice Blades and Expanding Force? I don't think so. Now, if you're in my opponent's position, part of the question is, does Precipice Blades just one-shot both of my opponent's Pokemon? Because obviously right now I can just go for Follow Me plus Blades. I can also go for Follow Me and Substitute. I'm definitely going for Follow Me with Indy. It's just what I do with Groudon right now. I also don't know if Precipice Blades is going to KO Zacian. It's just Follow Me plus Blades is the obvious play here. So I'm asking myself, is there any other play to go for? Could be Helping Hand. But, okay, I think I would just Follow Me and Blades. Zacian protects, that's fine. Surging Strikes isn't going to KO us here. Okay, they just double protect, yeah. But this is the thing, right? I could have set up a free substitute here. And if I had set up a sub, then that feels like it ensures us victory. Sunlight fades. Which means you do more with Surging Strikes, but it doesn't matter because I have the Focus Sash on NDD. I think this basically boils down to whether or not my opponent's Pokemon survive Precipice Blades, and I think with the Grassy Terrain recovery, they will just with the Sliver of HP. Now, if you're my opponent's shoes, you should always double up onto the Groudon slot. You just Surging Strikes, or you can Surging Strikes Groudon and sub. Yeah, I'm gonna go for Follow Me Precipice Blades here, but I might actually need to Helping Hand here because I don't think I KO Zacian otherwise. Nah, but you should always target the Groudon slot. So this, like, I can still win with the crit, or if they just have no bulk for whatever reason. Yeah, it was just very careless for me to switch in Maractus. Should have just stayed in with Dignity there. I was thinking about terrain control, but terrain control wasn't even that important. But, I mean, kudos to my opponent, right? That's exactly how you come back in a game of Pokemon. Okay, Entity survives with 10. I think if you're my opponent, like, this is where if I had subbed last turn, we would have won, right? Well, not necessarily, actually, if Blades misses the KO on both. And we miss anyway. Yeah. That feels fitting. That feels very fitting. GG. That's on me though, right? Like I said, I misplayed by switching in Maractus the way I did. So let that be a lesson, right? Like, Maractus is so good into the Zacian team comps that there's no reason for me to have given that switch in there. I just thought it would be relatively safe. But they had to go for, yeah, it was a question of whether or not they had U-turn. They had to go for it specifically onto that slot. It's like, if I had even just switched it the other way around, it would have been fine. But I can't say for sure where my opponent's doubling up into that position. So the best play really is to just sacrifice something so that I get Maractus in for free, because then Maractus should just freely knock out everything. So, yeah. I do want to do the damage calc there, because I actually think there's a decent chance maybe Groudon actually knocks out both in that position, but I want to confirm that. So, Groudon into Zacian, Precipice Blades. If they have no bulk, it's actually just a KO from that range. Even if they're max HP. Oh no, that is a KO. It does 84 to 99%. And then into Urshifu, which was just over 50%, we do 50 to 64. Yeah. So Precipice Blades actually should have picked a double KO there. But the main thing is, I deserve to lose this one because I threw away a guaranteed win, more or less, by switching in Maractus the way I did, right? So, yeah. And plus, it's like, if I don't know how bulky those Pokemon are, maybe they're actually super, super bulky. After all, Urshifu actually does have a fair amount of bulk these days. So if they're like max HP, Precipice Blades, they're just 45 to 54%. They were just over 50%, so then it might have been a damage roll. Could have made that substitute play, but even with the sub play, I still would need to hit Precipice Blades at the end of the day, right? And it's actually mainly knocking out Urshifu, because sub doesn't really help out against the Urshifu there. So, yeah. Unfortunate to miss both, but at the same time, There was no reason for me to put myself in a position where I needed to rely on hitting Precipice Blades when I had my best win condition in the Maractus and just carelessly switched it in, right? I would have just done super effective damage into everything. So, yeah, I consider that, like, not like a complete throw, but it feels like a pretty bad throw to me. And that's why you have to be very careful about switches in Pokemon. And, yeah, you know, like I said, I'd like to say I play perfectly all the time, but it's very, very far from true. It's not the case at all. In fact, I make mistakes in pretty much every game, but so do most players in Pokemon. The thing is, it's very hard to play a perfect game of Pokemon. But the main thing is, it's okay to make mistakes, but the mistake I made in that last game was just too big of a mistake to make, honestly. So, lesson learned. Next match here, and it's up against another Zacian team. Alright. I mean, I don't see any reason to deviate from what I've been going with, which is just Maractus Groudon, NED plus Arcanine. So, let's just do that. There's very little reason for Porygon here. And, once again, Stack Attack is interesting. But they have Amoonguss, so it's like, do I really want to bring Trick Room in when they potentially have Amoonguss? Probably not, right? So, yeah. Either way, though, I mean, the main thing here is conserve Maractus, right? Like, just give up Indeedee. Indeedee is useless. We don't need Indeedee after the beginning of the game. So, yeah. What else? Yeah, it's really that. I mean, eliminate Incineroar and then try to sweep with Maractus is the main thing, right? And the thing here is that my opponent doesn't have a single ground immune. Yeah, they have Rillaboom, which resists it, but it still takes a sizable amount from Precipice Blades. So, yeah. That last game was a really good learning lesson for me. And while it's frustrating we missed both Precipice Blades, once again, I talk about the inconsistency of this Pokemon. And that's the thing, right? You typically want to play in ways so that you don't need to rely on hitting Precipice Blades to win the game. I didn't do that the last game. Okay. Rillaboom actually comes out. Ooh, very interesting. That's been something I've been wondering about this whole time. Okay. Now with that, I'm also curious. Is there a sash somewhere? Either way, I'm going to click Precipice Blades turn 1, but this is really interesting because it means you either didn't bring Rillaboom or Incineroar. And either way, pretty interesting if you decided to leave one on the bench, right? Now, the play I want to make is to just Precipice Blades turn 1, but I'm like, would you really Electro Web here? That would be wild. But I could see them going Electro Web and CC into Maractus. Groudon's going to survive the Surging Strikes anyway, so let's say they do Electro Web and, like, they double up onto the Maractus slot. I'm down to switch an Indeedee right now and go for a Precipice Blades here. I just want to cover for Electro Web plus Close Combat because that last game is where I learned that Maractus is obviously so essential in these end games, and I basically had a win more or less locked up if I didn't just switch it in carelessly. Okay, so they went for Volt Switch. That's fine. That's probably Rillaboom coming out then now, but I'm okay with that. It has to be Rillaboom. That turn 1 plays a little bit risky, I guess, because I could have protected Maractus. I also could have just gone for Grimmsnarl, but I'm fine switching on Maractus here. Yeah, so they didn't bring Incineroar. Smart decision. Very smart decision. I think the Rillaboom is a very good mix-up for my opponent here, so I love that decision from their end. Yeah, and they did double up into the Maractus slot. Okay, that's what I thought. Ah, it's actually enough to knock out Indeedee. I have to say, I was actually not expecting that to KO, so that does change things a little bit here for us. Okay, Precipice Blades hits here, so that's good. Such good damage there. Not enough for KO, but that's fine. And that was actually a crit onto the Rillaboom. Yeah, that makes sense. Pretty free for me to bring in Arcanine right now. Hey, I could just bring out Maractus, but then my opponent could fake out and Close Combat into that slot, which I don't completely love. So I think I'd rather bring out Arcanine here, because it just gets the Intimidate off. That's the main crucial thing. But I think because my opponent actually brought the Rillaboom out here, this means that my Maractus isn't a guaranteed win against Zacian, because they can just Electro Web it, which is really tricky for us. So here I'd expect Fake Out. I think I'm down to Flamethrower into Rillaboom and then actually switch Groudon out into Maractus. I guess this is the same thing where it's like, oh yeah, now I'm switching in Maractus, but this time around I can make this play with more confidence because you can't just double up onto it for a KO. Best case is my opponent clicks Fake Out into Groudon, Surging Strikes into the Arcanine, and then feints from Surging Strikes, but I think it's more likely Fake Out's going to go into the Instant slot right now. I just want to conserve this Groudon because it's obviously going to do super well into Zacian in the end game. So, yeah, they click Fake Out into Arcanine. They're going to take the Rocky Helmet damage, and their Strikes. Ideally, this is into Arcanine, because then your Urshifu... Actually, I don't want Urshifu to feint here. Never mind. But looks like it is going to target Arcanine. Fine by me. And actually, yeah, the beautiful thing about Rocky Helmet is it procs after each hit. So you're just going to feint after 2. Okay. Well, now I'm hoping my opponent just feels comfortable bringing Zacian, but you should always bring out Regieleki first. Either way, that was a pretty good turn for us. So, yeah. I just still can't believe that second game. I'm so upset at myself. Like, I honestly get most frustrated at Pokemon when I throw away a lead like that. It's like inexcusable to lose a game like that, but it will happen, right? Like, what you want to do in Pokemon is just get good enough to the point where you don't make those mistakes as frequently. That's basically it. Okay, now if you're my opponent, you could Glide plus Volt Switch Arcanine. I don't have counterplay to that, but I think we just try to eliminate Rillaboom. Yeah, so, but it means I have to reveal Weather Ball. But I think we just do it, because if we eliminate Rillaboom, then it leaves the Groudon in this endgame. They did not click Grassy Glide, and they didn't target Arcanine. That's really good. Because this means we should eliminate Rillaboom, and we get a free Flamethrower out into Zacian, which should get redirected. Okay. Really good decision to bring the Rillaboom over Incineroar. I don't think a lot of players would do that. Okay, either way, we get Weather Ball off. Nice. So KO. This is what I mean. Like, Maractus is just the most important Pokemon in the Zacian matchup. It's just inexcusable to give it up the way I did. Okay, we get a big Flamethrower off here. Let's see if it's in sub-range after it. It's very close, but after Grassy Terrain, I think it will be. But the main thing here is that you shouldn't be able to knock both Pokemon out. The main thing here is like contemplating Arcanine switching out, but I don't think I should allow my Groudon to take a single, say like any damage. Because at this point, Rillaboom is a non-factor in the Groudon versus Zacian plus Rillaboom combo. Sorry, as in like, you will not do damage onto my Groudon with your Regieleki. My opponent should recognize that. As a result, you maybe contemplate protecting the Zacian here. But the main thing here... Also, you need to Electro Web to drop my speed. I've revealed Weather Ball, like... Oh, how many turns of Sun are left? 2. Okay, that's good. Okay, then with that, I'm willing to just Flamethrower and Weather Ball. It's likely my opponent is going to protect Zacian here in Electro Web, but I'm fine even if they go for that. And they don't protect. Okay, so they're hoping to KO with T-Bolt here. Oh, that was so close. But it doesn't... Yeah, actually, even if they KO'd, we'd win, because Maractus would just KO Zacian. They needed to webs there. Yeah. Okay. So crazy we run into 3 Zacian teams in a row. Your matchup against Zacian should be very positive with this team. Game 2 is just, yeah, I'm still frustrated at myself for, but it happens sometimes in Pokemon, right? Like, the main thing is learning from those mistakes. I just made a switch that was completely unnecessary after an early lead. Okay, let's say my opponent made the best possible play in Game 2. That would have been Glide Surging Strikes. I don't even know if that knocks out Groudon. Like, that's the main thing. If it doesn't KO Groudon, I guess I could just do the calc right now. Groudon... Well, let's finish this game first. I don't want to waste my opponent's time. Flamethrower and Grass Knot. So, in that last game, Urshifu, Surging Strikes, assuming you're Adamant and Mystic Water. Let me actually pull up the damage calc. I want to analyze Game 2 a little bit because... I do want to know, like, think about what the best possible play in that position was. Because they did have Fake Out pressure, and I didn't have terrain control. So, let's pull up the calc and think about Game 2 a little bit more. Okay, so looking at the second game, like, Surging Strikes, even from max attack Mystic Water in Sun against us, does 46 to 55. And there's no way Rillaboom Glide would do enough there, right? Like, you're intimidated there. Yeah. It does 40 to 49. So, and that would be if you're max attack. So, like, in that position, another play I have to contemplate is Fake Out plus Surging Strikes into Groudon. But even if that happens, that's fine, right? If I'm switching NDD out into Arcanine, I get an Intimidate off. And then Arcanine can just pressure with Will-O-Wisp. Like, the main thing, I guess, that I was thinking is, like, Maractus doesn't necessarily sweep everything because I need to break the Focus Sash on Urshifu firsthand. But either way, Groudon's not getting one-shot there. And I also could have just clicked Follow Me with NDD as well. Or even Expanding Force. So I think I got baited into thinking I needed to switch NDD out in game 2, but yeah. Now, there's not like a 100% path to victory yet. It's not like, oh, if we just have Maractus, we win the game. Like, we still need to target correctly. But at that point, it was going to one-shot the Zacian. It was going to bring Urshifu down to Sash and do over 50% to Rillaboom, right? So it's just the most important offensive tool for us. It's also like, if I had just switched the other way around and the Arcanine slot went into the Maractus slot, we would have won the game outright that turn. But that's the thing. There's no need to risk switches there. So I think with Groudon there, it's appropriate to just click Heat Crash into Rillaboom and then switch the NDD slot into Arcanine. No matter what happens there, what's the worst case? Surging Strikes plus U-turn into Groudon? Yeah, it's still not a guaranteed win then. That's the thing. But throwing away Maractus was terrible, right? Because it's like that just threw away our easiest path to victory there. You can see how strong Groudon was into my opponent's endgame anyway, right? Even with me making that misplay, like if we actually hit both Precipice Blades there, we had a very good chance of winning the game. But we didn't hit. And once again, I had ways to not have to rely on Precipice Blades for that end game in game 2. So pretty wild that we ran into like 4 different Zacian teams while playing with this team. But that's probably the best matchup for us, honestly. So we'll take it. Anyway, yeah, I think I'll play one more just because I think this team is really fun. All right, final one of the day, and what do you know? We go 4 for 4 on Zacian teams, but this is a very different take on Zacian, and they have Rain. That is not good. I feel like we get destroyed by Pelipper Kingdra. That's a really cool team. Oh no. I really don't know what to do here. Like, I don't even have reliable damage into Pelipper and Kingdra alone. They also have Rillaboom for terrain control. Grimmsnarl can screens. Arcanine is... This is such a well-constructed team, honestly. I love this Zacian team. Because, like, team preview has been so easy for us in all the other Zacian matchups. It's not the case here at all. Oh, man. Zacian Pelipper? Zacian Kingdra? Everything I have is gonna get countered. Like, I just don't know. I'm going Maractus, NDD, Groudon. I feel like I needed Trick Room in this game, but even if I Trick Room, it's like, without a Rock-type attack on Groudon, I can't really hit the Pelipper. Yeah, I don't think my approach here was correct. This was already a tough one, and if I want to win, I need to outspeed my opponent. So I think team preview-wise, it would have been better to play around Porygon, because that's our bulkiest Trick Room setter. I'm gonna go with Ferrothorn and Kingdra. Well, with this lead, it indicates to me my opponent's last two should be Pelipper and Zacian. If I switch AD out, you just outspeed anyway. Oh, that's so bad. Okay, I think I'm down to actually Spiky Shield and Expanding Force turn 1, honestly. The other play I was thinking was switching Indy out into Groudon and just Weather Ball Pharaoh. That would have worked out so well for us. Unless they're double protecting, which could be the case. Nah, they're not. Okay. And now I'm hoping they're lulled into a false sense of security and I can make that play this next turn. Ah, Iron Defense. I'm actually okay with that, because at this point it's unlikely you're switching Ferrothorn out. I really want to just Weather Ball it. I'm gonna be honest. I'm switching to Groudon. Obviously, them protecting Ferrothorn here is a big possibility. But Kingdra would have to risk Hurricane. Maybe you just Hurricane here. The other play I was thinking of just Grass Knot expanding Force onto Kingdra. Nice. Oh, that is so good. Okay. Well, I guess Ferrothorn could protect here. Yeah. That's probably what's coming. I mean, if Ferrothorn doesn't protect here, though, it's a sick turn. But the thing is, I'm revealing Weather Ball this turn. Nice, they don't protect. Okay, huge. That's good. The problem is now they get to pivot the Pelipper in and set up the Rain. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking, like, how do I fit in Porygon or Stack Attacka in this game? It's just so hard, because both of those get dunked on by the Zacian, our good old buddy. The thing here is Zacian just gets such a free substitute. I don't have counterplay to it, though. I have Weather Ball. So here's the thing. I could make a crazy play, which is expect Zacian to sub, and then Weather Ball and Precipice Blade Zacian. I almost want to go for that play, honestly. It's because sub is just so free right now if you're my opponent. It's so free. Yeah, and there's just... like, this is such a crazy play, right? But this matchup is so bad that honestly I'm willing to go for it. Okay, that also works. As long as... if I knock out the Zacian, this is a doable game. I mean, I don't think Pelipper's one-shotting us, to be honest. And unless it has Hydro, I could Scald Burn. That's what I'm nervous about. Huge damage there from Weather Ball, though. Nice. Okay, we're even faster than Pelipper. Nice. Groudon doesn't miss. This is an example of a matchup which is, like, really bad, but, like, we can find ways to win by making really aggressive plays. I'm not going to win this game playing safe. Like, that was the reality of it. And they even U-turn. Oh, this means we get weather control. That is perfect. Perfect. Okay. What a set of games today, honestly. 4 Zacian teams in a row, though. What are the odds of that? This isn't even one yet. That's the scariest thing. Like, it was really the Pelipper plus the Kingdra combo that was so scary, right? So, like, I think here I'm just going to Spiky Shield. I'm going to throw Groudon out into Arcanine. Arcanine's completely useless for us right now, so we don't need to play with that. Yeah, that last turn played out exactly how I needed it to. And they probably didn't have sub, right? It's typically one of Swords Dance or sub. But either way, that turn was the example of a turn in which my opponent could make a full not even a full comeback. They could just win the game by making that Swords Dance play, right? So I felt like I needed to play aggressively there because this matchup is so bad. Like, even with this 4-2 lead, it's still so far from over. It's probably Tailwind and Hurricane or Muddy Water here. U-turn is pretty interesting, though. Okay, they go for Muddy. That's fine. That means Maractus could have attacked? Eh. But I feel like Indeedee plus Groudon should be pretty good for us in this endgame. It's actually really good Arcanine gets one shot there. I don't want it to survive in this position. And they don't Tailwind. Okay. I wonder if they don't have Tailwind then? Either way. Now I get Groudon in. With Groudon in... I can sub. I can Grass Knot plus Blades here. What I'm nervous about is Tailwind. Protect. So I think I'm down a Grass Knot here and launch a sub. Because we have Indeedee. I should have considered that. That's fine, though. Actually, that's more than fine. I didn't even go for... Oh, Grass Knot is so strong. Maractus is, like, unbelievably powerful. Wow. And they even missed, which is even luckier for us. But that makes me think they don't have Tailwind. U-turn, Hurricane, Scald. That's so interesting to not run Tailwind. Either way, that should be GG. I am just going to Grass Knot the Pelipper slot, and he crashed here. I actually should have doubled up on a Kingdra, but I don't think it matters, yeah, with NDD in the back. Wow. Okay, well, this is what I mean, right? I looked Doom in team preview, but we managed to cheese the Ferrothorn with Weather Ball for a one-hit KO, get us a free knockout. If we don't have Weather Ball there, by the way, we probably just hard lose to that Ferrothorn on turn 1, so Weather Ball was absolutely necessary here. Unfortunately for us, yeah, they didn't even protect that turn, because if you protect there, then you can just switch Ferrot into Pelipper, and then the game gets a lot more awkward, but we got a free knockout, forcing my opponent to make a switch. So, yeah, 4 Zacian teams in a row while using this team. Certainly not what I would have expected. We went 3-1, and that loss is still so frustrating to me because, like, yeah, I just, like, grossly misplayed switching in Maractus on that one turn. But, yeah, that's Pokemon, right? Yeah, you have to contemplate always what is your win condition, what is your win condition. And, yeah, I'm not even talking about the Precipice Blades miss because, to me, that game just felt like a gross oversight of, yeah, me throwing away my best option. So, yeah. Either way, though, this team is an absolute blast. If you're tired of facing Zacians, I'm telling you, this team is it. It is so, so fun. The main thing to, you know, watch out for is that the majority of your damage is coming from Groudon and the Maractus. We didn't really bring Slack Attack very much, but it can be a pretty good damage dealer. But as a result, you really have to conserve those two as well as possible. And as you've seen, Groudon can be a little bit inaccurate with Precipice Blades, and Maractus is really frail, so you do have to be careful about how you set it up. But what an incredible duo. I'm still so, so pleased with it. So, yeah. Thanks once again to TyTK for the team. Details in the description below. Don't forget to answer the question of the day. Hope to see you at the 25th anniversary invitational stream tomorrow and Sunday. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right. Peace.